Marissa, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Great.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. And I just shared my screen for a second. Were you guys able to see a document up?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. I think we're good then.
I'm gonna turn the audio is on. So, Leo. I'll go forward you then.
3-4, okay. And Sandy's here?
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Okay, I can see you now. No, I can't.
Can't see. I got a blank screen, but we can hear them. Mark, are you there? Can hear you.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, there's our quorum. Let's see, Gary, Mary, Gary and Mary, that's it.
Oh, we planned it right. We might have to stay back out the building tomorrow, so you'll have lunch with us. Which is, then planning it right, Steve might be back out the building tomorrow. Thank you. Is that for reach? Oh, you. Yeah. So, shall we have lunch? You'll be. Got to deal with that. Okay. I laminated their cars up this week. Never took that. So it's nervous. Don't put it in your wait, no.
Okay, I've got 6 o'clock. I don't know why I don't get a gavel, but let's bring this meeting to order. How about a roll call, Mary?
Sure. Mark Cooley,
Here,
Gary Manning, Mark Gill,
Here.
Mary Miller, Pat Ripshin. Here. Sandra Kramer.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a quorum. And we need a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Pat. I'll second that. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, so that's approved, and then the minutes, are any corrections, additions, anything of note for the minutes of the June 16th meeting? Okay, not hearing anything, we will assume that they are correct and approve them. And then we get to public comment. And this is actually where I'm going to make a comment, and that is that I am going to be resigning from the board in a month or so. So this could be my last meeting or maybe one more meeting. And I am your acting chair, who's only been chair because of Marty's passing. And so we're going to need somebody, we need an election to have people step up, and we need a chair and a vice chair. So I just want to notify everyone, and I thank you for your generous assistance as I muddled through this process. And something I never really expected or signed up for, but I've done my best. And I feel good about the direction of Pine Valley. How, we've kind of come through this year. We've had some bumps and some challenges, but I think we've come through really in good shape. So it's been a pleasure working with you all, and I hope to hear great future progress. So any other public comments? Okay, hearing none. Let's move into the audit, which is going to be the vast majority of our meeting tonight, I would imagine. So Marissa is with us online, and thanks for joining us, Marissa. And you want to take it from there?
Yes, of course. Hopefully not too much of your meeting. But yeah, it'll probably be about hopefully 15 minutes here. So I believe you guys all got copies of the presentation packet. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully it comes up for everyone.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Marissa, so I don't know if we.
Okay, I'll speak up more.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There. Do you guys see it says Pine Valley Community Village with like a blue ribbon?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so all the subcommittee members should have gotten 3 different documents. The first one is this presentation packet, which is what I'm going to be going through. The other 2 is the auditor's report with financial statements. Then the other one is the required communication document to the board. The audit report and then the required communication document are both very long and very wordy. It has all the required items we're supposed to communicate to you. But this presentation packet that I'm going to go through is just the key highlights from those 2 documents. I think those 2 documents combined are about 60 pages, and this presentation is only 18. So again, it's a very high level presentation. Again, my name is Marissa Powers. I am with Johnson Bond Company, and I've been on Pine Valley's audit for, gosh, I think 10 or 11 years now. But I'm the audit supervisor now, so I'm like the main contact and in charge, main point of contact for Pine Valley. So today I'm just going to go through our audit process with you. So we did perform the audit in accordance with government auditing standards. We did issue an unmodified opinion, which is the opinion you want. It means it's a good, clean opinion, meaning your financial statements are free from material misstatement. We did communicate on a couple matters. One was a material weakness for material adjusting journal entries. Those adjusting journal entries in the required communication document, those are the last couple pages of that document if you want to take a peek at those at all. And then a significant deficiency for lack of segregation duties. This is a very common finding at municipalities and nursing homes, especially smaller nursing homes, because you just don't have the proper resources to properly have an accounting department of 20 people to properly segregate accounting functions. We did implement 2 new accounting standards, we call them. See here, we call them GASB number 100 and GASB number 101. They're just related to how things are shown on the financial statements. And then 101 is related to how compensated absences is reported. We had no errors or irregularities we detected, no legal acts, no audit difficulties. We received full cooperation from Mary and the staff. And management did accept and record all of our audit adjustments. This page, this is your statement of net position or your balance sheet. Again, this is taken directly from the financial statements. So we have to show comparative financial statements of 2024 and 2023. So you had total current assets of approximately $5.4 million. Total restricted assets, which is the resident trust funds, just over 10,000. Net capital assets of 13.5 million for total assets of approximately 18.9 million. And then this deferred outflows of resources, these are numbers that we record for you guys every year. It's related to the WRS pension system and the life insurance that's through the county. So and we call them deferred outflows of resources, and that total is approximately 3.1 million. Your statement of net position, your balance sheet continued with the liability and net position side. So your total current liabilities in 2024, approximately just under 2 million. Long-term liabilities, 15.1 million for total liabilities, approximately 17.1 million. And in these liabilities, I just want to point out, again, here's the net pension liability, the OPEB group life insurance. These two numbers come directly from the state of Wisconsin for like the county share, and then we calculate Pine Valley share from the county. And then this accrued sick leave, this is the number that the standard change of GASB 101 impacted. And then deferred inflows related to the pension and the life insurance again. Deferred inflows of resources of just over 2 million. And then your ending net position was just under 3 million. And your net investment capital assets and then unrestricted of 4.5 million. This is a little a footnote, I guess we call it. This is taken from the audit report. This just breaks out your cash investments total. You guys have some designated cash balance designated by the subcommittee. So you have debt service and capital improvements. So your total designated cash and ending cash balance 2024 was approximately 1.7 million. And then the resident trust funds, which is restricted cash of 10,000, and then your unrestricted cash of approximately 2.7 million. And your ending cash investments, December 31st, 2024 was 4.4 million. This one's kind of small. I hope you guys have copies in front of you as I can try to zoom in. So this is your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position or your income statement. So it starts with the operating revenues. So for 2024, your operating revenues are approximately 9.9 million. Operating expenses were approximately 11.1 million for an operating loss, approximately 1.2 million. And then you have your non-operating revenues and expenses. And there was total a net expense of 330,000, and the largest expense in there was your interest expense on your bonds. And then you have transfers, so your tax subsidies from the county, and then the transfer back to the county that the board approved. For net transfers of 665,000. For an ending change in net position or net loss of 858,000.
So Marissa, why did we transfer 600,000 this year, 300,000 last year?
I think, I guess it's up to you guys as a board. It's what you guys approved. But I believe it had something to do with your guys' cash balances, I want to say. I vaguely remember there being discussions. I felt like that's something to do with these cash balances. Because I think the county sees how much cash you guys have. And I think they want some of that, I guess. And I know we recommended to you guys to create these designated cash accounts a while ago to make sure that Pine Valley always has cash for paying your debt and obviously your capital improvements and stuff like that. So I guess I don't fully know the reason why the board approved 600,000 back. I'm assuming there were discussions with the county as well.
I think that at some point in the year, Tom would come in and say, your balance is looking good. We double what we give the county for payoff.
Okay, so it's a kind of a floating thing depending on the cash position.
Yeah.
So then the 665,000, I guess compared to the 1.2 million last year, represents pretty much a net gain for the county. Would that be correct, Marissa?
That would be correct, yes. Yep.
And a substantial net gain, really.
Yes, so you are still getting more from the county, obviously, because you get the county levies for Pine Valley's debt. But then you guys pay your share portion of that debt back. I believe that's how the county does it for you guys. Because I believe
Just a better position would be with what I'm really trying to get at is that it's kind of a win for the county that we're $500,000 better than we were in 23. Correct? Would that be correct?
correct that you're saying that the county got more, or
didn't put as much
Yes.
into
Yes,
value.
yes, correct. Correct.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously, like Pine Valley did have a negative change in your net position this year. So like if you look in the prior year, primarily it's usually like a net operating loss, income loss for transfers. And then usually the county kind of helps with that. So you're not necessarily always having a net loss. However, I think what happened with the larger transfer to the county too, now that I'm looking at this, you guys have such a kind of a healthy net position or beginning equity that you guys could sustain this $860,000 loss this year because your ending equity position is still 2.9 million.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Okay, and then this is the trend in that net position that I was just talking about for the last 6 years. So this shows total net position in the blue line, then unrestricted net position in this red line. This net investment in capital assets, this is not on here because it's a negative number. And this is a negative number just because it has to do with the depreciation of the assets and how we're required to depreciate things with DHS requirements. So there's a little more depreciation there. So your unrestricted net position, again, is this red one, and then it went up and then went down, obviously, as we saw, because there was that large net loss this year. And then obviously that impacted the total net position. And then this unrestricted net position has been zero for the last 2 years. From 2019 to 2022, these numbers are directly related to that WRS pension and life insurance. When that WRS pension is a asset that we have to record from the state, we report it as a restricted net position, but because it's been a liability for the last 2 years, we do not report it as a restricted net position. This is a comparative graph of your operating revenues for the last 6 years. So in 2024, again, you had operating revenues approximately 9.9 million, which was a slight decrease. The decrease was mostly related to you just had less overall census days this year. And we have a chart on the census days later in this presentation. This is a breakout of your operating revenues for 2024. So Medicaid was your largest source of operating revenues at 51% or 5 million. Medicare was 20% or 2 million. Private pay 17% or 1.7 million. Assisted living was 10% or 960,000. And then therapy and supplies and miscellaneous were less than 3% of the total operating revenues. This is your revenue by source. I'm going to try to zoom in on this one. So this is just a trend analysis of your revenue by source for the last 6 years. So the ones, again, on the previous page, this largest one here is obviously your Medicaid, and you have your Medicare, and then the red is the private pay, assisted living, and then therapy and supplies. Overall, just looking at this, it's kind of fairly comparable over the years. Obviously, here's the dip in Medicaid. I think obviously some of these census days went down, and then with private pay, I'm assuming more private pay census days, or maybe you guys might have increased the rates between 2023 and 2024. And this is a trend analysis in the deficit reduction appeal awards or supplemental payments. So as you can see in 2024, they were zero. I have to go back to the income statement. On the income statement, they were reported as non-operating revenues right here. We call them supplemental payments. So last year you had 103,000. This year it's zero. Those payments come from the state, and I believe the state isn't even doing them anymore, based on how they changed their rates and how they pay the state Medicaid. So we might not even include this chart then in here next year, but we just want to show how that has dropped down in 2023. It really dropped down in 2024 to zero. Now we're getting to the operating expense side of things. So this is just a trend analysis in the operating expenses for the last 6 years. In 2024, you had total operating expenses approximately 11.1 million, which is a slight decrease from 2023 to 2024. So what that does tell me is that you had a decrease in revenue. So they primarily definitely tried to match the expense to the decrease in revenue. We still did have a net loss, but it's kind of hard to do with, I guess, the way nursing is and nursing wages and getting qualified staff is these days. This is a breakout for operating expenses for 2024. So your nursing services were your largest chunk, which as it should be at 55% or just under 6 million. General services were 16%, depreciation was 10% or approximately 1.1 million. Administrative services were 1 million or 9%. Support and special services were 4%, assisted living 4%. Insurance was 1%, utilities 1%, and other miscellaneous was less than 1%. This is a trend analysis in just the nursing expense, so the expense that makes up 55% of your expenses, just for nursing. So nursing was approximately 5.9 million, just under 6 million in 2024, which did have a slight decrease from 2023. And this is your trend in all your other expenses. I suppose it's small. Just look at that, they all look kind of comparable. They all fluctuate here and there. Nothing really stands out as shocking to me here, but yeah, they all look comparable, and there's a lot going on if you guys are trying to look at it on the screen. On this page, just shows the resident days, or the census days, as I call them sometimes. This is what I was referring to earlier. So 2024, Pine Valley had total census days of 21,952, which was a decrease from 2023. And then the percent of occupancy to available beds was just shy of 75%, which was also a decrease from 2023. And then this last page, these are taken from the note tables in the audit report. And we usually throw this in there just so you as board are aware of your ending debt balances and what's coming due in the next year. So for the bonds payable, the ending balance at December 31st was just over 15 million. And the current portion of principal due in 2025 is just over $1 million too. You still have two outstanding bonds, GO bonds outstanding, the 2015 and 2016 issuances. Yeah, and they won't be paid off till 2035 and 2036. And their interest rates range from 2 to 3.5%. That was a lot of information and a very high level again of the audit report. And looking at this, the audit report is 55 pages. So there's a lot of information there. But does anyone have any questions on the presentation or anything they want to go over at all on the other documents?
Any questions, anybody? Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. 2026, try to pay CPRF rates. Okay, Brittany.
Yeah, so we were looking at all the other rates that we've had, so our private pay for the SNF and then the private pay for the ALF. So based off of previous years, the last couple of years, it was either 10 or 15 between each year, a daily increase. So our current rate is $340. If we increase it by 10, we go to $350 or $355. Just kind of want to touch base with you guys on thought process. Respite would be the same, so if somebody's there for a short term. My thought process is obviously with the cost of living, I'd be looking at probably the $10 increase, just because I don't see it being that much higher, and I think it would accommodate the necessities that we do need. We are within market from other nursing homes
if not on the higher end.
Oh, we're already in the higher end, basically.
Yep. Last year, even in Dane County, Richland, I think was at 290,
Oh, wow.
but they're no longer open, as you can see.
There you go. That's,
So I would suggest the 350, in my opinion.
I'm good with that. Any other thoughts on our rate?
That's for the SNF side. The assisted living is cheaper. Each year it seems to increase by about $2 or 90 something. So every 2 weeks. So like in 2024, it started with 92, increase. 2025 was 94. So I'm thinking the $96 increase, which would give that additional $2 per year that it was showing, would be appropriate at this time. So those rates would increase your basic, your enhanced, and advanced levels. By
That's 2% basically, which seems fair. It's not even at inflation level, but any other thoughts about the increases? Hearing none, let's move on. Oh, wait a minute, Elaine, you got something?
I was just curious if you checked with like our house or some other places, are they right in this price too?
Yeah, even Muscovy is. But we still have to be able to increase to ours, so.
Yeah, because I haven't.
That's why I don't wanna go like the 15, because I feel like that would be a little too much, and we have to expect everybody else to start going up a little bit. But I think our house is in a nursing home, it's kind of like a group home, so they're a lot less, they're like our assisted living-ish, but even less because their quality, they're not the quality. Their required daily care needs are much different than what we do on a day-to-day basis.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think comparing Pine Valley to our house is apples and apples.
But when people are shopping for the assisted living, I know people do price compare.
Sure, and that's real, but then if they look at more than just the price,
Right.
I think that, like I say, it's not the same at all, so. But, okay. And anything about the increases or the rates? All right, let's move on to the census.
So we have, made our daily census to about 70 or above. So we're really excited about that. High census, I think, was 72 or 73, for quite a while. A couple deaths recently, so we are back down in the 60s, but we'll be back up because we accepted 2 more. So we'll be back up in the 70s again. And then the assisted living, they're hovering about 15 right now. We actually had one of their residents come over to the skilled stay due to a hospitalization. So they'll eventually go back over.
Good news. Okay, yes, Mary, you're up with the financials.
Included in the packet are the balance sheet and statement of operations. For agenda item 9B, that is the accounts receivable trend report. They are days, the days revenue and AR is 39.31. Our goal, of course, is to be below 40. But I do want to report that due to a delay in receiving the main pharmacy invoice from our contract provider, Medicare A claims could not be submitted by the standard deadline of the 15th of the month. As a result, the payment for our Medicare A revenue is not reflected in the June financials. While we did receive the invoice in time, and there was sufficient time to complete the accounts receivable and accounts payable, there was insufficient time to complete and submit the corresponding Medicare A plans. So this delay impacted the timing of revenue recognition in the amount of $130,871.96. And that amount could have been posted in June, but was posted in July due to the delay in receiving the pharmacy invoice. Had that revenue been received in June, the day's revenue in AR would have been 34 weeks.
Darn it.
So close. Still, we're still under 40 even with equipment, so it's good news.
All right, moving on to agenda item 9C, the cash flow. Receipts for June were $976,419 with expenses of $792,667. We did have Memorial Day holiday. Moving on to agenda item 9D. These are the vouchers for the month of June that are being presented for your approval. I'd like to review the following vouchers. So looking at check number 383 in the amount of $3,060, that was issued to a resident, and that was the refund of a payment post discharge. Voucher number 385 in the amount of $35. That also was issued to a resident, and that would be for a refund of an overpayment of room and board. Voucher number 391 in the amount of $4,665.81 is our credit card bill for the month. I'll go through some charges. $59.72 to Amazon for staff gifts for CNA week. $177.47 to Dollar Tree for staff in-service drawing baskets. $72.72 to Pizza Hut, and that was for lunch for admin staff during the state survey. $130.66 to Subway, and that was for administrative staff lunch during the state survey. $144 to China Inn, and that was lunch during the state survey for administrative staff. $987.90 was to Home Depot for hospital grade outlets, and that's part of the state plan of correction. Then we have $43.52 to Pizza Hut, and that was lunch for EMS week. We have $262.49 to the Websterant store, and that was for a manual can opener. $220.24 to Amazon for toilet risers. $36 to Home Depot for outlet receptacles, and again, that's part of the state plan of correction. $447.88 to Amazon for staff gifts for CNA week. $49.99, and that was for a banner for CNA week. We have $141.04 to Amazon for stethoscopes and calculators. $40.47 to the Websterant store, and that was for Terry Flat oven mitts. $41.52 to Amazon, and that was for name tags for wheelchairs, and that too is part of the state plan of correction. $637 to Amazon for LED bathroom fixture lights. So that concludes the credit card statement. However, I'd like to continue on with vouchers. We have voucher number 416 in the amount of $1,150, and that was to JT and Associates, and that's the second half of the consulting fee for the Medicare cost report. Voucher number 418 in the amount of $7,580 was for Leading Choice Network, and that's the facility fee for the skilled nursing bed fee. Voucher number 437 in the amount of $4,202 was to Train, and that was for heat pump repairs. And then voucher number 443 in the amount of $2,401.74 was to Winona Heating and Ventilation. That was for parts and repairs for the ventilation system in the community.
Okay, great. So I think we need a motion to approve the vouchers.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? I think I heard everybody, so that motion passes. And I think we got the aging report though.
Yes, one more. We have the HE report, let me rotate this. All right, so, the table reflects the balances and account activity through June 30th. Any account activity after June 30th is, reflected in the notes column in blue font. I do want to make a note that line number 21, we are reaching out to our corporate counsel and asking them to verify that there indeed are funds in probate. If they're not, then we will look to request a write-off.
Great, thanks, Mary. So I think we're up to you, Brittany, on the administrator's report.
Signed the contract for our new pharmacy. It's called Health Direct. They're coming in 60 days from the date, I think when I signed the contract, the day after, county board. So they're excited, we're excited. They're going to be here tomorrow to kind of get a building layout, and get the things that we need, kind of see everything, so they know what equipment to bring, so like our stat safe, things like that. Water project, we did, initial, so we had to get that whatchamacallit? That's drawing a blank right now.
Or,
No, so the inspection, that's what it is. Redid the inspection. Sounds like we won't actually need to change our reservoir. So it sounds like everything deep down in is looking good. It's just the top part, and there's like small recommendations to fix it, and then just spray additionally with a little bit of concrete, as we're required to do that.
okay. So we've done this whole big report and 3 different approaches, and then it turns out the reservoir's okay. Of course, we didn't have the report, so.
So I should have pictures, I think, because they just brought a robot down to look at it.
Right.
So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I should have that report this week from Chad.
Wow.
So yeah,
Do we have an estimate of the cost of repair yet, or no? Just that, but it sounds like it's gonna be,
much cheaper,
yeah, wow.
much cheaper just to fix it, and it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with it. So as long as I can take a look at it, look at the state fed regs, and the NFPA requirements of the reservoir. I think the only thing that is needed is painting. Then after that, because you're required to do it every 2 years, to paint your reservoir to be.
Insider.
That is what I'm gonna look up, if it needs to be on the inside, because if they're gonna respray it with concrete on the inside, then we probably, if that painting is required on the inside, then we'll probably just have it done at the same time, because I'll have to drain it and mix it with concrete in, if that's the plan. So yes,
Well, that's good news, I mean. $10 for whatever the city water.
or even replacing the reservoir. or
Right,
anything like
right.
that.
So do we put the solar panel on, so we're not using the batteries that were failing? And that-
I think that we'll still have to have somebody come out to at least something electrical in that area.
I know Kat mentioned that in problems, and,
I think we'll still have to have that, and I think when they're draining and doing all that, it wouldn't be a bad idea. to
sure,
do
do it
something
all
like
in.
Right, and then maybe get something put in place, so when it does rain up there, it's not so muddy, maybe get a pathway put in, something, to make it more accessible.
Okay.
But I guess we'll wait and see for that report. And then state has been in my building quite a bit. So basically what happens is we tattle on ourselves, we say, hey, we did this wrong, or we found this to be a deficient practice, here's what we did to fix it. So we had an incident that occurred where one of our staff members on the night shift did not perform CPR on a full code patient. So we did self-report that. We are in, a past non-compliance on that, which means that something happened, something bad happened, it resulted in death. So even though we did everything right, it's still gonna be written up for us. But I don't have to write a plan of correction for it because I did everything immediately following the incident occurring. So yay for that, but they do have to come in for an extended survey following that, and they have to be here by the 23rd. So my anticipation is they're going to be here because we also got a citation for a medication error. Essentially, a resident got the wrong medication, another patient's medication. We self-reported appropriately, so we did everything we were supposed to do. However, obviously, these things happened. They cause adverse events to occur. So they also have to come in and clear us and do a verification visit on medication error. I put us in compliance as of the 22nd, which is tomorrow. So they can come out tomorrow and hopefully do both, or they'll come out tomorrow, do one, and then the next day do the other. So I guess we'll see.
Is there some reason that CPR was not performed, or what
The
happened?
staff member didn't want to do it. Did not agree to, the resident being a full code, was not happy about it. I'd gone to Jessie about the situation, did not agree with it, wanted her to change it. She provided education to that nurse that exact same day. This was 2 weeks prior to this patient passing away. And she explained to her extensively that regardless of our feelings of somebody's code status, it's their wish, we have to respect it. And that was that. And then it was 2 weeks later, this woman had the event. And essentially, she did not agree with the fact that this patient was full code and pretty much told the staff she was not performing CPR on. So she has been reported to the state. State is filing a complaint against her license. And it doesn't sound like she's, the staff member is going to maintain a license at this point based off of the conversation. It was neglect. And unfortunately, when one person in our building does it, regardless, it still falls back on the building.
So the state is really sort of in charge of any sort of action on this, or do we take action as well?
So what happens is we self-report. So we say there's potential for abuse. Obviously, with not performing CPR, that's negligence. That's neglect, point blank and simple. We ignored their plan of care. We ignored their wishes, their legal document that
And
they
knowingly.
knowingly did this.
Yes.
So when we self-report, we say, yes, this was substantiated, that this occurred. And so they usually just take it from there. Once we submit a DHS reviews it, they obviously will open up certain cases on their own. So like the med error, we did the self-report, did all that, but they opened it, came in to take a look to make sure we did everything. But it's an adverse event. So they do the same thing with that. They actually, they share the information with DSPS, who manages all the nursing licensures and things like that. And then they do that report. Julie Grant, our RFOD, is going to email me over. She wants us to provide a letter to DSPS as well to help support the cause of the licensure being revoked.
Okay, any other questions for Brittany on her administrative report?
Brittany, I have a question.
Of course.
The question I have is the individual that refused to perform CPR. Is that person still working down there in Pine Valley?
No, she was terminated immediately.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions for Brittany? Elaine?
I just had a question. So that's the only, has state been in recently for like HR? I thought there was issues with like background checks.
That was previously when they did their extended survey, but no, there's no issue.
So that's all been taken care of. How did that occur? Like,
So
how does that happen when-
2023 binder had gone completely missing. So we had 2018, 2019, 2021, 2022 and 2024, and then 2025 background checks. We were missing a whole section. My understanding is that previous administrators, it's my understanding, had maybe gotten rid of some very important documentation. So we've corrected everything. We have all background checks verified. We've done everything. Verified yesterday as well, because we know states coming in. And they will ask for a certain background checks. So we again verified everything. We have everybody that we need.
Great.
Because we currently have full-time HR in the building then?
Correct.
Yeah, so I was just confused, like, we need to make sure that, I mean, because we have full-time HR there, and now we have full-time HR here at the courthouse. There's overlap there. So I know with the previous HR person, she also drew blood, she could pass meds when we were short, whatever, she was a licensed nurse. So like this HR person, what are we doing with that full-time hours? Because that's a full-time, like where are all those hours going?
Correct. She's also a medication tech. So she can pass meds as well on the floor, and she's been picking up hours. She spends a lot of time doing, as a CNA too. She's a CNA. So she's able to fill in the schedule as needed, but a lot of her hours is making sure we have everything. She's been doing a lot of audits due to the state, coming into the building. So yeah, I mean, she's dealing with.
I've been there, excuse me, she's been there a year, like this just like recently happened, so it's like.
Right, but
Just
she's
like
doing
should have been.
positions at that point. She was doing my position, and then she was, HR on the side, and then obviously with it being here and there, it was a little bit difficult to maintain when you're trying to run a building and an assisted living on top of trying to manage the HR portion. I've done it before, and it's really hard to do when you're trying to manage. So
Pat and I were spoiled because we just didn't get sites. We didn't have 5-star
we
perfect
tattle on
site
ourselves.
free facility for many, many years, and that's what we're striving for right now.
Correct.
Good for you for doing what you're doing.
Yep, we're required to, and Julie, she's like, it's hard, especially when it's such a good building. She knows it's a really good building. But unfortunately, I can't control another person's actions. All I can do is clean up what happens afterwards and fix what happens afterwards. And hopefully weed out the ones that are making significant mistakes that land in debt. Obviously, we strive to hold everybody accountable to the highest standards, and I think that we're getting there. I think there was a lot of things that were missing and not being completed, and now we're working on that. We're holding people accountable, and we're setting those standards a lot higher than we needed.
Yeah, that's great. How are we doing on our contract employees now? Where are we at with our?
We're still utilizing contracted, at this time. I have not heard anything. I know that Trish and I think Tessa, had that conversation after they were reevaluating the job descriptions. I haven't heard anything yet, but that doesn't mean that we won't have that conversation this week. It's been pretty busy here on her end, and then obviously with Steve being in my building, and we just haven't really had that time to connect at this point.
Okay, so we're still kind of struggling with the wage study and
Correct.
bringing in nurses. Are we able to bring in nurses at all, or?
Unfortunately, no. We haven't seen anything. I don't think we've interviewed, I know we've interviewed like CNAs and things like that, but no nursing staff at this time. No like licensed nursing, so no LPNs, no RNs at this time, correct?
We interviewed that wage is pretty comparable. It's the
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we're gonna be scuffling until we change that, so it's unfortunate, but okay. Great. Any other questions for Brittany or anything else, anyone? Okay, well, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Excellent. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody opposed. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.